What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to get on in. I know I'm a couple minutes late. My bad. Tonight's show is going to be really, really good. I'm around a lot of amazing young. Oops, hold on, sorry, messing with the phone. I'm around a lot of amazing young ladies, and obviously we all sit around and we talk about stuff. And the other night I had a conversation with an amazing young lady, and then another young lady I always talk to, and I was just like, how cool would it be to have just a regular show just with us, and we just kind of talk about life, the world, or whatever it is they want to talk about. And so I always want to make sure that we empower young women to have voices and have spaces. And I just think both of these young ladies are incredible young ladies. And so we got Miss Rennie and we've got Garfield coming tonight. Now, what are you going to go about tonight, babe?
Molly.
Molly, yes, we have Molly. Say hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
There you go. So, you guys, so the other night, Molly, me and you were kind of hanging out and talking a little bit, and I just thought, man, you got such a great brain. And it had me thinking that sometimes adults just are so cringe, right? Like they just doing the most.
Yeah.
I'm a parent, and I'm sometimes like, come on, just calm down. It's okay. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
What is something that you would like to talk about tonight?
I think, well, I'm a lesbian and I'm like in high school, so I'm like around a lot of people and a lot of my friends are part of the community. And I think especially with like trans people my age that I know, I think that in our age group, there's a lot more like acceptance in the fluidity of the subject. Like I'm not like if one of my friends identifies as one thing and then they're kind of changing it and like their sexuality is one thing and then a different one. I don't think I'm not like, oh, make up your mind. Of course you're not going to make it. You're 15. You're like 16 years old. You don't know anything about yourself. That's why you're trying to figure it out. And I think that sometimes parents will like weaponize that like not being 100% sure when in reality you're a teenager, you're not going to be 100% sure about like anything. This is just kind of another one of those things you can be like experimenting with.
I agree with you 100%. And I think it's awesome that young people understand that you guys are growing up and that you're going to change and things are going to be different. And what things are right this second might be different. And hell, even a couple months. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, Brittany, what do you think about that? Do you kind of see the same thing in your circle? Everybody's pretty acceptant and.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad that you guys have the circles that have that, right? Because that is something that, I think sometimes parents understand and remember when we were younger, we change things and things are different and we're going to come into our own sense. And there's nothing anybody can do about that anyway. So chill out a little bit and maybe just walk with our young kids because I think they need more support than they ever have in the world, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you guys have that, and I love that you guys have that acceptance. Like you don't like, oh, you're being two-faced, or you don't know who you are, or you're because some of the adults sometimes I see them saying some crazy stuff about just this particular conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that young people understand that yes, we're growing and changing and learning, and we're gonna experiment, and we're gonna, it's all gonna work out.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you think about, Riddy, on that subject?
She basically said it all.
She basically said it all. Awesome. All right, let's see. What else can we talk about? What is it, Serenity, about maybe, and this isn't even like a political hot topic, right? This might be just something you guys. What is it that you think sometimes adults overreact on with boys and girls?
Like, boys and girls can't even be friends anymore without like me and my friends can't even hang out without being like, oh, is there gonna be an adult around? Like, obviously there should be an adult around.
Right.
But like when you're younger, like when you're like actually kids, nobody really cares about boys and girls being friends. But like when you're teenagers, they start overreacting and freaking out. Like, yeah, we're growing up and we're gonna like, you know, like I don't know the word, but like that can happen, but like it's not as extreme as people make it out to be
Right.
with boys and girls being friends.
Do you guys think sometimes that maybe even parents can add pressures onto relationships that are just friendships?
Yeah.
Yeah. How does that sometimes make some of you and your friends feel?
Like,
Because I know, like, you can go and talk and hang out and stuff like that, right? But I know that maybe some other people can't. How does that make them feel like maybe they can't go and talk to their parents because they overreact on like just friendships?
cause like, I don't know.
Because it's just because you just want to be able to have fun.
Yeah.
I think I get what you're saying. Go ahead.
Not all teenagers are like sexually active or anything.
A-
Some of us are just chill.
And you all should be celebrated as well, right? Yeah, I think so. I think sometimes with adults it can be hard, or with the kids it can be hard because they want to just be kids. You know what I mean? They just want to have fun. They want to be kids, and they're not sexually active, and they're not in that element yet, and so I don't know. Maybe trust your kids sometimes. Does it make you feel like when you see that happening? Does people your age feel like maybe then their parents make them feel like that they don't trust them as an individual?
Yeah, cause like it's really annoying. Cause one time, me and my friend, we're both girls. We tried hanging out, like almost a sleepover at my friend's house, and they're both boys. And then her parents started yelling at her, and we were just talking about like it's not like that, and they wouldn't listen.
Right. And there were supervision set up, right? Like there was
Yeah,
protections. Girls were going to sleep in a room. Boys were going to sleep in a room. Parents were there.
yeah, they have cameras and stuff, like
Right.
and everything. And we were gonna sleep in the living room or the guest room, and then my other friends were gonna sleep in their room,
Mm-hmm.
and then their parents would be there too. So
Yeah. Well, maybe sometimes we can learn to trust our kids because not all kids are being sneaky. Not all kids are lying. Not all kids are out here just doing whatever. So, I mean, I thank you for saying that because I think that's important because maybe sometimes parents don't realize they're making their child feel like, well, you just automatically don't trust me and I've never done anything.
I also think that, like, well, I mean, I feel like this is, like, at least to me, kind of common sense a little bit, is that, like, the stricter parents make the sneakier kids. Like,
Yeah.
my friends who, like, had, like, hard curfews or, like, their parents were always tracking their phones, did some of the craziest stuff I've ever seen to, like, get out of their parents knowing where they are. Or, like, it even becomes a more dangerous situation because, like, let's say you want to go out with your friends, but your parents are tracking your phone, so you're going to leave your phone at the house. Now you have no way of communicating with people. So, like, if something bad does happen, you're kind of like, oh, well, now I'm screwed over because I didn't want my mom tracking my, like, Life 360 or whatever.
Yeah, I can get that. I can understand that. I think, and I'll say this as a parent, you know what I mean? I think that oops, dang it, hold on, y'all, I pushed a button. Dang it. I could just be normal. Okay, my bad, y'all. I closed my phone out for a second. And Katrina says, yeah, we're not doing any chat drama in the chat. Let's see. I felt that way until I became a parent. And I can understand that. I think with like what we do, we try to have open conversations with you all. And yes, we do say, okay, I would like to know where you're at and stuff like that. But at the same time, like I don't mind her going and hanging out with her friends. I trust you, and I think that sometimes when parents are super, super strict, I think what, Molly said is the kids do some crazy stuff. Do you see
Yeah.
that too in your circle? The more stricter the parents are?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. All right. So, Molly, I'm going to let you pick a topic. What's something you would like to? We just did a Rennie topic, so we'll go to you now.
I'm not really sure. I mean, there was like what we were talking about yesterday of like parents' view of what school is now
Yes.
and
Let's
how
do that.
like skewed that kind of got.
Explain a little bit. So for the people that weren't in our conversation.
Like when a lot of people believed that like every school was like trying to like quote unquote brainwash their kids, or like that they were forcing like being trans or being gay on kids, when I feel like most of the time a lot of the people saying that, or like that were the most like outspoken about it, either didn't have kids, or like they had to have not been talking to their kids about school. Because I like was obviously in school during that, and like we were talking about like normal US history and like Paul Revere. We
Right.
weren't, nobody was like school was pretty average the entire time, and then to like leave school and hear people being like, do you hear what they're doing in schools? I'm like, yeah, I'm there every day, they're doing nothing. Like
You kind of
it's
feel that way too?
Yeah.
Yeah. You think people are overreacting a little bit?
Because nothing really happens at school. And I feel like sometimes parents just try to see something that isn't there.
Okay. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
all think that sometimes parents have forgotten? Because, like, I'm an adult now, right? Got kids and stuff, and so I remember being your all's age, 15, 16 years old, and you experiment with different things, and you try different things, and you say you don't like certain things, and then some of my friends didn't try anything. You know what I mean? They were just kind of chill and did their thing. And do you guys think that sometimes that instead of, how can I say this? That sometimes parents just forget about that, like because they've gotten older, or they just, they just want to believe whatever it is that maybe the news is telling them, instead of just remembering that, some normal stuff. Because there's probably more crazier stuff that happens outside of school than probably in school, right? I mean, if you guys want to learn something, right, it doesn't matter if you're in school or not in school, right?
Yeah.
Because you all have phones, you all talk and have conversations, right? And so you're going to learn about anything that you want to learn about, whether people's parents know about it or not. Even the strict kids' parents, right? You guys know you have friends that have really strict parents. Do those children still do and find out what they need and what?
Yeah, I think they often go about it in different ways. Like, I've noticed that kids with stricter parents, that I know at least, are like usually the crazier ones. So they go about a lot of things of like trial and error. Like, they'll do really crazy stuff and then obviously like have bad consequences for it. And it's kind of either like learn from it or keep doing it. And like, I think if like my family is very open with questions, like if you literally you could ask borderline anything and someone's giving you an answer. So like it was never like oh, you don't talk about that. Like you could bring up quite literally any topic and it's like fine. So I think that like with my family I could always be like, oh, what's this, or like what does this do, why are people doing this? And it was never like some of my friends whose parents are like, you would never even bring up the word weed ever, or you're getting like, or like everyone in the family will know about it and they'll be like, oh my god, you're like a degenerate.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. I know I got a question to ask you guys. So let me ask you all. So we know how we talked kind of about the LGBT plus community stuff, right? In your all school. It's pretty usual for certain people maybe to experiment and figure out their stuff, and if somebody decides to change and different like that, then it's not a big deal. No one's shaming them, right? Now, as far as like hate issues type things, right? Maybe race or identity issues. Do you guys deal with a lot of that in your all school? Like, are you guys meeting each other and just, kind of everybody does their thing and learns each other? Or do you all see people like really bad hurting people and saying bad things to people because the color of their skin or what they identify as?
I think where I go to school is like a very progressive area. So like it's not as much like if somebody did something that was like outwardly and noticeably bad, I think everyone would kind of be like, ew, what are you doing? It would be a very like I mean, and like thank God for that kind of response, but it would be like no, like what are you doing?
Right.
Like
We're
I
not
think
tolerating that.
yeah. I think that like there's of course like kids in my school who will like say slurs and kind of just not care about the implications or think about the implications at all because they've never been in a place where like if they do say something out of line like that anybody would actually have like a reaction that would be a consequence. Like the kids in my neighborhood aren't walking around like the city saying stuff like that because like someone's gonna like beat you up if you're walking around saying like or like saying stuff that's like horrible like that. But in our neighborhood it's more of just like a oh don't do that. I think there's like stuff in groups more like personal where like it won't be outwardly like racist or homophobic, but there will just be like a clear difference in the way you're treated or like just like little tiny differences that as a person in that spot you would notice but nobody else really would.
Right. And I want to make sure that I want to say I know that both of our guests tonight live in two different areas, and so some of the experiences and some of the things may be different just because of the areas they live in, and so that but that's why I love talking to both of them. So Brittany, do you ever see? And I know we just started school, and so this is a new chapter, right? But like, so let's go based off of last year because like I don't know unless you've seen stuff this year already, and that's fine too. But do you guys see stuff sometimes that people say and do? I know you've had a couple experiences.
A lot of people at my school, they usually like a lot of people at my school are like racist, but like nobody really cares since everybody is.
Right.
And like nobody really does anything. And like some people are too scared to stand up. Because then they'll be like, won't be cool, I guess. And like a lot of people at my school say slurs and stuff just to fit in. And like, for example, like a white person saying the N-word and going up to a black person saying the N-word. They could be friends and the black person wouldn't care, but if like a random person went up to the black person and said the N-word, then he'll get mad or something. And like
so it's hard to kind of in a situation because of the hatred is kind of a badge, like there's so many people that are racist or whatever, and the other people don't want to speak up. So in that situation, it's kind of hard because people have to deal with it.
It's kind of hard to like stop it, and I guess racism at my school is like labeled as a joke, I guess.
Yeah. Right. I think, or like, if you talk about it, they'll be like, oh, you're being sensitive, or like you're being a baby about it.
Yeah. And like, Some of my friends, they'll walk up to me and like be like border bunny and stuff. And like at first I was like, yo, why would you call me that? And now just so many people do it. It's just like,
Well, just Well, just so you know, you don't ever have to deal with anybody calling you that. Because you got one hell of a mom that's always got your back. So I hear she's a pretty tough chick. So, and yes, I've heard her mother's showed her rear a couple times because of stuff like that. So, but it's interesting though to have two of you, right? Both amazing young women, but just because of the geographic area, like where she lives at and where you live at, there, like if somebody does something like that, it gets a side eye. But where you're at, it's so normal that even though it bothers you, you just have to deal with someone calling you a bunny jumper. Which is a sling because we're Latino. So, all right. Well, that was the honest answers I wanted. I just want people to understand. And I think that it goes also to show a lot of the adults that are in both areas. Because as I've talked to your family, Molly, I know that you have a very open family, and most people are very diverse and very, and stuff happens, but it's not in your face. To where you live, I know that there's a lot of stuff that is in your face, as far as racist and hatred, and it's not really like if somebody stands up to that, that's the unnormal, not the racism or the hatred. Which we're not laughing at. It's a ridiculous giggle. All right, cool. Let's see. We talked about that. What is? I know I'm gonna ask you guys for some inside information. But what is? Because I know a lot of parents worry about stuff online, right? Which they should, because there's a lot of crazy people online. Like, I think we all can admit that. I think we've all had enough practice online to know there's some whack jobs out there.
Mm-hmm.
What are... Okay. What are some things... Sometimes I think that parents think that... and while there are kids that are very gullible, we're talking about 15 and 16-year-old, I think two young ladies that have pretty good head on their shoulder and a little life experience. What are some things online that parents could help their kids with? Like, I know a lot of parents deal with their children being bullied or different things like that. You know what I mean? Is there anything outside of them taking their stuff away from them, maybe that you think would be able to help? Because sometimes parents can freak out and get crazy and even sometimes think it's the kid's fault, right?
Yeah.
So what do you guys think is something? And I'll shut up because I feel like I'm rambling at this point. Molly, you can go first.
I think like my parents have never had that big of a interference on like my online stuff, but I also think that's because like especially my age range and above, I think it's like growing up with technology and new apps, and parents were like, I don't really know what that is, or they're like, yeah, I know what it is, but like they're talking to their friends, whatever. It was either that or they were like way the opposite and were like, you're not allowed to have any of that until like high school, when like
Right.
I would be using stuff in middle school. And it's not, I think that like for me it was more of like my family kind of, it was more of like a personal thing than an internet thing, like especially with cyberbullying. Of like, I think because of kind of how I was brought up, it would have just kind of been like, I don't really know. I haven't like had experience with cyberbullying ever. Okay. But I think that's because the way I view it, I'm like, I'm kind of just gonna turn off my phone.
Right, right. And that's I think that's great advice.
Yeah. Like, I've never really had to deal with cyberbullying either. And like, if somebody like made a bad comment or something, I would just delete the comment. Or if it was like in a comment section on TikTok on my video, I would just delete the comment and like block them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
If you
think, like,
guys go ahead.
I think like the closest, like the only real, I think like big things is that now, like when you're arguing with friends or like there's stuff happening with friends, like the second someone says something, like let's say someone texts me like, "Oh, I hate this girl that you're friends with," and we're all friends, I
Mhm.
can like screenshot that and immediately send it to the girl. So it's a lot more like immediate. Like I think in groups, like between friends, social media has made it kind of harder, but kind of easier depending on how you look at it. I think it causes like it brings up more issues, but I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing. Like I think like if there's a problem, it's kind of like immediately recognizable with social media because
Yeah,
like
I think well,
you'll be
it's
like
kind of
someone will
accountability a little bit.
yeah, like if you say something like I have like concrete evidence that you just said that to me. So like now what? Or like you'll
Right.
be like why did you block me on this? So it kind of like forces people to directly confront the action, but then on the other side of that, if they aren't confronting it, then they just like kind of completely like ghosting became a big thing.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. Well, that's good that you guys don't have to really deal with cyberbullying. And I'm glad that you guys both know, like, and have this, because I think even sometimes as adults, we'll get caught up on the internet sometimes and forget, like, hey, we could just block this person. We
Mm-hmm.
can just, or whatever, and we'll just, you'll go back and forth. And sometimes it's fun, but after a while, it's like, okay, this is this is lame.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that your generation is like, yeah, we're not dealing with y'all because we know these apps. So bloop. So that is kind of good. As far as apps and stuff goes, like if you guys get weird people that like try to send you account, like say some weird person just sends you a friend request or something, or starts talking to you. If you get weird or whatever, I think somebody's asking in a comment. How would you handle that? Would you like block them? Would you ignore them?
Yeah, I would just, if it's like a grown man trying to talk to me, then I would just block them.
Yeah, I would say the same thing, or I just like wouldn't respond. I don't. A lot of times I'm like, if you're not my friend, like I have like literally no business speaking to you.
Yeah.
So I kind of just won't.
Yeah, because like, yeah, I just agree with her.
Yeah.
I agree with her.
No sense of wasting time on silly shit.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. We've got a couple more minutes. What do you guys think? Is there anything else y'all can think of?
Oh, I mean, talking about apps, I think there's like, I've kind of been thinking about this for a bit. Especially there was a thing that happened at my school involving this, but I think that there are certain apps that are like lesser known by adults that I think are like the most dangerous in a sense.
Well,
Like
please educate us.
like there are apps like called Yubo and Wiz, and it's supposed to be like oh for kids to make friends, but it has kind of just become a dating app for children.
Can you say those names one more time?
Yubo and Wiz, and like it's like basically the same setup as a dating app. Like you swipe left on right on people you want to be friends with. It's so weird. It's so strange to me, and like it's very clear almost immediately if you've ever like used one of the apps because it's kind of like yeah you can meet friends on there but like 95% of the people are like not looking for just friendship and like it's so bad and like it's so easy and you can like ban people on it and there's like a verification thing that you can show like an ID or a school ID to be like quote unquote verified so you're not like lying about stuff on your account but it's still so easy to like
Right.
yeah
anybody can make school IDs these days. We've been
Yeah,
making fake IDs forever. So
and like I never see anybody talk about those because there's like Instagram and Snapchat, but Instagram, like if you see an account that has like 8 posts from the last 3 minutes, you know they're like not that's like not real. Like I'm like, oh, you have 4 followers and you just posted all of your posts in the past 10 minutes. Like that's like okay, you're a freak. But
right.
like with stuff like that, you kind of can't tell, and then by the time you're already talking to a person, and then it's like, especially a large amount of it is like, I think queer kids because it's easier
Mhm.
to find a community online, especially if you live in a place that's not accepting. Like you can't
Right.
really just go around and like meet people in your area if like a majority of them are homophobic or something,
Mhm.
and then it becomes like, but yeah, I haven't heard like nearly enough people talk about those 2 apps specifically, and like it's literally a children's dating app. It's horrible.
Okay. Well, thank you for letting us know that. And I just love that you guys like, one talk about things and even, you're like, "Hey, by the way, parents, if you see this, you might, want to pay attention to it." To these apps, these two Pacific apps because one thing parents are is, not everybody knows. I mean, there's a new app that comes out every day, right? So,
Yeah,
keeping people aware, and that's how we keep each other safe. Even kids that are, maybe not realizing that these spaces maybe aren't for them. You know what
yeah.
I mean? Um, so that's awesome. Is there anything you want to talk about? You think of? No. All right. Well, what about you, Miss Molly?
I don't really know if there's anything else.
Yeah, I think we covered a lot. We covered a. I love that you guys have like spaces and parents that can you know you can have conversations with and talk because I do think that makes a big difference. And I think maybe you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think that if more parents understood that this isn't the time when they used to live here, when they were our age, or you know what I mean, when we were your all's age, uh, it's okay to it's okay to listen, and you don't have to freak out about every single thing. I think that if we as parents trust our parenting sometimes and realize that we have raised some pretty awesome kids, they'll be able to come to us when things really are too much, and when kids don't have somebody they can go and talk to when things are too much, and they can openly discuss things with. I think that's a bad thing.
Yeah,
And so I just want to shout out to all the parents out there, aunties, uncles, whoever, you know what I mean? Whoever you have young people around you, make sure that they have somebody that they can go and talk to and not get judged and not, and I get it. Sometimes parents with those things, especially the older your kids get, it's like, oh my God, I'm not ready for this. But too bad you decided to have a baby and now your baby's growing up just like you did. And they need somebody that's going to be there for them and honest with them and help them get through life. They're not 5 years old anymore. They're not 10 years old. They don't be set in the corner. They need somebody to do life and walk with them. So that as a parent, that my kids can come and talk to me about anything. And they have, and they'll come and talk to me because their friends are in domestic violence or whatever situations they're in, and they don't have anybody to talk to, and I'm the parent they can come and talk to. So always make sure young people have somebody to talk to. I think that's very, very important. Let's see what these kids think about. Let's see. What do these kids think about how here we go. Excuse me. I still have a cough. So I know you see all these crazy adults talking about politics. What do you guys think? Like the way everybody's freaking out and always at each other's throats over all these different, and you may not know a bunch of stuff about politics, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't expect y'all to be like, da 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 da, but what just from an outsider sitting in when you see all these adults online and on TV and in person just arguing over different things. And then I'll have one more question to ask and then we'll wrap it up.
Mm-hmm.
For me,
Hold on. We'll let Brittany go this time, and then I'll do
Yeah.
you, Molly.
Yeah.
Let you go. Sorry.
for me, when I see like adults arguing over like politics and stuff, I just kind of ignore it because I don't really pay attention to politics because I have other stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
That is, well, I know that I'll need to learn about it eventually as I'm getting older, but for right now, I'm just kind of ignoring it.
Okay. And that's not a bad thing. All right, Molly.
I think that a lot of the times I view people arguing about politics as like kind of like the most pointless argument you can have, because realistically, like from an outside view, I know that neither of those people are going to leave that conversation with a different opinion than the one they went into. It's kind of just like it'll start as kind of like, this is my opinion, and then the other person's like, this is my opinion, and it never goes literally anywhere. Like I've seen so many people argue about politics, and like 98% of the time no one leaves with a changed opinion. So to me, I'm just like, you're bored, and like this is your choice of thing to do. And sometimes that can be like super damaging, because there are pieces of politics that are important, and I think people get bored and argue about stuff that is actually super important, and then it just like inflates issues. Like now you're not viewing it as like a problem and more of like a topic for arguments.
Yeah. I think both of you get it. I think both of you that were perfect answers. Now, as two young women, there's a lot of stuff going on about women's rights, and our temperature, in this world that we're in right now. And as young women, though these might not be things at this particular time, maybe not all of them that may affect you at this moment. But as a young woman, these are different things that could affect as you get older, and different things like that. How do you all feel that there's a bunch of old people, and sometimes mostly men, that are making decisions over what a woman should or should not do with her body? And we're not just talking about the abortion issue, just health-wise all the way around the board. And Rennie, I'll let you go first. You want Molly go first? All right, Molly, you go first, and then Rennie will go first next.
I think it's like absolutely ridiculous. I think that like obviously not just for the abortion issue, but like a lot of the conversation stemming from that for a lot of people, it was like, I think that religion plays a way bigger part in stuff like that than people want to admit, because like obviously like founding of the country, separation of church and state and whatever, but like truly like there are still fundamental views that people in power hold that have to do with religion that will always influence what they say. And allowing personal beliefs to put people's like lives on the line in certain situations, like people not being able to survive childbirth, or like horrible things happening to them that put them in the position that they're pregnant, and now they're kind of being forced to carry that whole thing out. Like it's like, it just doesn't make any sense to me that somebody would impose their own personal views and risk other people's well-being for that.
Couldn't have said it better myself, young lady. All right, Miss Rennie, and then I'll say how I feel.
I don't think like, especially men, should tell women what to do with their body, because if anything, men get it the least. Like the least.
So like you're saying, like people don't tell men what to do with their bodies?
Yeah. Like, yeah.
No one cares what they wear. People care what women wear though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
because like a guy can walk around shirtless, like going to Kroger, well not Kroger, but gas stations and stuff. But if a woman walks around with shorts that are too short, then people will be like, what the freak?
right.
Especially in schools. Like schools especially.
You think it's kind of a double standard? Guys can kind of wear what they want and girls can't?
Yeah. And for school, like, in high school, we can obviously, like, wear tank tops now, but in middle school, nobody's even gonna think about that. Nobody's gonna be walk around with a tank top and then somebody's be like, "Ooh, look at her shoulders. They're so sexy." Like, I don't think anyone's gonna think that. It's kind of weird.
Yeah,
And
that's kind of interesting to me because my school had a dress code, but people in my district are much more likely to take legal action against a school if they do something. So, like, if a male, like, I was never dress coded, and I knew people who, even I was like, you should probably be dress coded, like, logically. But in my district, it's like, if a male teacher dress codes a female student, then, like, parents can be like, well, why were you looking at that in the first place? So, like, we had a dress code, but, like, we kind of basically didn't. Like, you would really have to be pushing it to be dress coded.
Right.
for my school, since I'm in high school now, I thought we'd have more like freedom with the dress code. I mean, we have a little bit. You can actually wear shorts, but like you can't wear like belly shirts or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So our school is really strict about that. But we can wear tank tops.
That's a good thing. I mean, I don't see nothing wrong with tank tops.
Yeah.
One of the young ladies in our comment section, Miss Sunshine, and if you guys don't have if you don't know anything about this particular topic, that's okay. No pressure. If you do and you have a feeling about it, you can express it. How do you guys, we'll go with Molly first. How do you all feel about climate change?
I mean, I don't really know much about it. I
Okay,
think,
that's okay. I wouldn't expect you guys to know a whole lot.
yeah, I think there's like certain things that are like, I mean, that are like obviously issues, or even stuff that like I've heard briefly explained in the conversation and been like, oh, I guess that is true. Like, even stuff as little as like the amount it used to snow when I was in like second grade or something, and then the fact that like that basically like never happens anymore, or just like stuff like that. But I don't really know a lot about it because I feel like
Right.
there's like constantly being told you're not gonna get to the age where, like you guys are the this is now, it's happening now, you're not gonna be able to grow old. You're like, that's a
Right.
lot to tell
Yeah.
a 12-year-old when I'm trying to watch a funny video on YouTube. You know what I mean? Like, that's too much for me to deal with right now. I'm skipping the ad and I'm forgetting about that because like I'll like spiral if I think about that for too long.
Yes, I think I can completely agree on that aspect. What is your view on climate change, Rennie?
I don't know anything about it.
All right, that's cool. So we have a couple people there saying, what about like, since we're talking about dress code or whatever, what about the kids that dress if they feel like if girls dress a certain way, it might cause a distraction. How do you feel if somebody would say that? Rennie, we'll go first.
I mean, like,
say you're honest. Go ahead, give it out. You're good.
I mean, like, people know how to dress in public. Like, nobody's gonna come to school in like a bikini or something. And so, like, a distraction is kind of like I forgot the word.
Excuse?
No, it's like
extreme?
Yeah, it's like extreme. I mean, like, you can come to school and, like, because nobody's gonna walk around in an actual bikini in school, and nobody's gonna show their butt at school. Like, people know how to dress in public. It's common sense.
And even if there is a couple, say hypothetically, right? Say there's somebody that comes to school and their shirt's really low, and they're for the most part, those are very far in between, is what you're saying. Most of the kids that come to school and know how to dress.
Yeah.
Appropriate.
And like, if someone does come to school and they're basically wearing a bra, then like we have clothes at school that we can give to people. So like, they're obviously gonna give somebody a shirt and just they're gonna wear it the whole day.
So problem solved.
Yeah, it's an easy problem to solve if you think about it.
Do you think that, I know this is something in our family we've dealt with. I've had kids sent home because they didn't have a belt on. Do you think, Rennie said, true. Do you think that that's pretty silly to be sent home when you're supposed to be at school learning?
Yeah, like, you're gonna get sent home because you're not wearing a belt when there's actually things you could be learning in school. Like, there's opportunities, and then they just end because you're not wearing a belt. Like, what?
Right.
It's kind of dumb.
I agree. All right, let me look in here and see if we have any more. Molly, what do you?
Yeah, like I said, my school's always been very lax on dress code. Sometimes they'll say something about it, but most of the time, like, because there are girls who in my school who will wear like basically a bra and then like really low-waisted short shorts, and I'm like, you're pushing it a little bit. But like, it kind of, like I said, our school, it's more of like, you don't want to be the teacher that's like, and everyone knows, like, there are like maybe 2 or 3 teachers in my school who regularly dress code people, and everyone's like, ugh, those guys.
Right.
Because it's either like a creepy dude or like an old religious lady who's like, put that away, and everyone's like, okay, relax, you know?
Yeah. Yep, I do. Well, I think it's been a good conversation. I appreciate you guys just sitting down and, it's just chit-chatting. I think it's, hopefully some people have learned some things, just a point of view from you guys, you know what I mean? And I think the biggest thing for me is that we have to start listening to our young people, you know what I mean? We have to start listening to them because they're very smart, and this whole world revolves around them. It doesn't revolve around us, adults. We put our time in. If you're, 35 plus, you put your time in, like, you know what I mean? 35, 40 plus. And I mean, not saying our life's over with, because my life's far from over with, but we have to give these young people spaces, to let their voices be heard and let them go through life and learn what it is they like, whether it's religion, whether it's politics, whether it's identity, whatever it is, and walk with them, you know what I mean? Because they're gonna have to figure it out just like we did. And they're our future. And we, even when I was these two's age, things have changed so much. And I'm so glad that both of these young ladies are way smarter than I was at their age. I really do. And I want to keep telling you two young ladies, I want to keep encouraging you guys to keep being change makers and just be amazing, because you're both amazing young ladies. And be proud of yourselves, because you both have voices and you use them. And I think that's very important for young women to always learn. And you guys are already doing that. So, is there anything you want to close out with, Molly?
No.
No? What about you, Rennie? Anything you want to say? Famous last words, girl? No, thank you. All right. Well, you guys, I want to say to all you adults, thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us. We may do this again. We may do this again, and just, every great now and then, every couple months, come on and just say, hey, by the way, adults, chill out. Because it's going to be okay. I really do have faith with these kids. I really do. I have big faith with these children, and I really do believe everything's going to be okay. We just got to get over ourselves. So, on that note, you two young ladies, thank you very much. Molly, I'm going to let you go. Rennie, I'm going to let you go.
Mm-hmm.
And I will talk to you all soon. All right. Alrighty. Well, thank you guys so much for coming by. I am going to be doing another one of these chats. I want to do at a couple different times. I'm going to do probably with another set of teenagers soon. And maybe get some young men in here. But I also want to do a young adult panel, which that means 18 to about 24. So if you're 18 between 24, and you want to get on and you just want to talk, please reach out to me. Here's my email. If you're on Facebook, you can reach out to me. I do believe that people need to hear the future's voices. We hear so much of our voices that they all start sounding the same. So I think if we can listen to some of these young people and we can learn from each other, the adults can learn from the kids, and that's okay. And the kids can learn from the adults and the young people and all of that, you know, whatever lane they fit in, kids, teenagers, young adults. So we're in this together, and the future's all about them. So we have to make sure that we always make space for them. And so again, to these beautiful young women that joined me tonight, I much, much, much appreciate it. And until next time, you guys, everybody have a great day. And if you want to come on, or you want to have a son or a daughter that they have some things to say, please reach out to me. I would love to give them a platform. As you can see, we do it very safe. I will never show the children or anything like that, but I do believe their voices matter. So talk to y'all later, everybody. Have a great day.